Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, this is Station. I'm ready for the event.
European Space Agency, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Frederik with the education event Fremtidens Rumstation. How do you hear me?
Frederik, this is the International Space Station. I hear you loud and clear. How me?
Jeg kan også høre dig, Andreas. Hvor er det dejligt at have dig med. Jeg befinder mig her
I can hear you, Andreas.
i København med en masse unge mennesker, der er meget
We are sitting here in Copenhagen with a lot of young people who are very curious. Could you start to say, where are you at the ISS right now? And tell you what is going on around you right now.
Jeg er i det, vi kalder Columbus-laboratoriet.
I am in the Columbus lab,
Det europæiske laboratorium ombord på rumstationen.
the European lab at the ISS, where we can make a lot of very interesting research experiments. I have to work with a metal 3D printer. We also have a biological facility where we can research cells to try to see if we can print human organs like livers for organ transplants. We have microscopes. We have everything that we need to make very interesting research experiments. It looks like there's a lot of wires around you. There's a lot of Danish young people who want to hear about you and your experiment. So we'd like to hear, how have you slept tonight? And how would you like to improve sleep for future astronauts? Maybe a sleep pod or sleep module for future astronauts. I've slept very well. I sleep a little bit less than I normally do on Earth. But the big challenge here is it's designed as a workspace, a lab. And afterwards, they have tried to make it habitable. They sort of forgot to think about the habitable aspect. So our sleeping pods are at the same place as our toilets, our exercise equipment, our workspace. All of it is in the same place. So a good idea in the future would be to make a habitable space where you can sleep, where you can eat, maybe exercise, and then maybe separate it a little bit from where you work. I'm not hearing anything right now. If there's anybody speaking in Danish, I cannot hear it. So how does it smell on the ISS?
Ja, det var godt, du stillede det spørgsmål. Jeg tror måske, vi lige mistede...
I'm glad you posed that question. I think we lost connection a little bit. It doesn't smell so bad up here. Of course, because we have a lot of cooling systems and air cleaning systems that circulate air and produce oxygen. So it cleans the air. So it doesn't smell so bad as you might think. I'm glad to hear that. Andreas, your day has been planned all the time, but you also have a little bit of spare time. What do you do when you're off work?
Tiden går rigtig hurtigt.
Time passes really quickly up here. We work from 7:30 until 7:30 at night, and then we have a little bit of dinner, and then another hour of spare time, or maybe two, before we have to go to bed. So we don't have a lot of time. So we spend that time calling home to talk to family and friends, and look at the window, looking outside, looking out and taking photos. And I really like to take photos and show them on social media so people can get an impression of what we're doing up here, but also what it's like to look at Earth from out here. It's some great, amazing photos that you're sharing. What if you could design a social module? What would you like to do there in the future space station?
Altså en rumstation skal helt sikkert
Space station definitely needs to have a window module. There is nothing more special than to sit here and look out the window, and we're always discussing this with the engineers. So the engineers always want to replace windows with video cameras because of how it's constructed. But we really hope that the Gateway space station that has to circulate the moon in the future will have a very large window module so that we can sit and take photos of the moon. And I think that is the most important thing, that there's a really big window module where you can enjoy the view. That sounds really great. So you have to be out there on a mission for 6 months. So how do you prepare to go away into space for that long?
Jamen, det kommer helt af sig selv igennem.
It kind of happens naturally through the many years that you wait to be sent on a mission, but also the many years that you train for it. When you finally launch into space, it is many years of waiting and preparing that is finally happening. And there is no real preparation, but you just have to speak to your family about the mission and about being away. But we have great opportunity to stay in contact through video and phone. Now you mentioned this about keeping in contact. But what about in the future? If we go into Mars, there might be a delay up to maybe 22 minutes. How do you think that will affect astronauts in the future on such missions? It's going to be a big challenge for future Mars missions. When there is a delay like that, you can't have a real conversation in real time. So you have to find other solutions, maybe record video messages that you can send back and forth. But it's going to be a challenge. It will also be a challenge for the astronauts in their daily work. They have to be very much more independent. Today, we have contact almost 24 hours a day. They're experts, and they sit there and they have, knowledge of all the systems in all details. So if we have questions, we can always get help from them to solve any issues we have. You won't be able to do that in the future. The astronauts need to have much more deep knowledge and insight. They have to be much more independent without help. It might be necessary to use artificial intelligence, robots, that can help and assist the astronauts, maybe. Let's go to a little different topic. So there is somebody in the school, they want to ask about food. What kind of food do you miss when you're in space? And if you can decide, would you like to have in a future space kitchen? If you can decide. I think one of the things that I miss the most is something you have to chew, something crunchy. A lot of the food we get up here is soft, like mashed. It's typically like a casserole with gravy, so that when you open the bag of food, it doesn't fly away from you. So we don't have anything that makes crumbs. So it's like mashed food. So I miss something that you can chew, like good bread. I miss baking my own bread up here. I understand that. That's the best thing. So the space station is a lab, first and foremost, and somebody here at this other school would like to know, what is the most interesting thing that you have to research at the space station? There are a lot of very interesting trials. I have to make one of them is that I have to make photographies of big lightning from Earth and on Earth, and I have to also take some photographs of the moon. That's very interesting. In the Columbus lab, I have to try to 3D print metal. It means that if we succeed, maybe in the future we can print our own spare parts. We have a lot of components that wear down over time and that need maintenance and replacement. And we are dependent on getting supplies from Earth. But in the future, maybe if we can print our own spare parts, that will make us more independent. Those are examples of some of the very interesting experiments I'm working on. Andreas, you're only 400 kilometers outside of the surface of Earth, but the space station looks very different than what it is down here on Earth. How does it affect your body that you are weightless over a longer extended period of time? It affects my body a lot to be weightless. It feels like being in bed all the time. Imagine what it feels like to lie in bed for a week. It wears down on your muscles. It's like if you have a broken arm, you have it in a cast for several weeks. You have to exercise your body again after that, your muscles. So I don't use my body in the same way up here. So it's very important for me to exercise about 2 hours every day. I use a bike. I use a treadmill and machines to exercise and keep our muscles and our body up to keep. You haven't been at the space station very long, but can you tell that the weightlessness is affecting your body already now? Yes, time passes really quickly. Today, it's exactly 1 month since I was launched. From Florida on August 26th. So I've been here for a month, and yes, I can feel it, not on my muscles and my bones, but I can feel it in my head. I feel a little clogged, congested, because not all of the blood is being sucked into my in my legs, like when you're in gravity on Earth. So I feel congested and clogged, like I have a cold all the time. That doesn't sound very nice. Andreas, today, it's a month ago since you got up there. Today is a special day. You have something to do later today. What is that? I do. Tonight, there are three members from up here are traveling back to Earth after a whole year. And as they are traveling, the commander is passing the role as commander to me. So I will be a commander here for the rest of my mission. That means that I will have the overall responsibility for the space station and our work here. That is going to be very, very interesting. A lot of us are following your amazing adventure on the ISS. In your own words, please explain, why do you think that space travel is important for the future? I think personally that space travel and space exploration is very important. It gives us new knowledge. It expands our horizon physically and mentally, because we travel out, but also scientifically what we're doing up here is research that will benefit everybody on Earth. It gives us a better understanding of the Earth as a planet and the solar system that we're a part of. and it will help us increase our knowledge of the climate, how the Earth is being affected by the sun and the space and the challenges that we're facing in the future. And we're also part of creating the space. By traveling into space, we are creating a future where we hope space will be part of that future, and we will have bases on the moon and traveling to Mars, where hopefully we will gain more knowledge on planets and Mars. Mars being a obvious place to understand how life developed on Earth. As the last question, it's the second time you are on a mission, and a voice here would like to ask, are you dreaming about a new mission in space, or is this going to be your last one?
Det er et godt spørgsmål. Altså,
That's a very good question.
En kæmpe oplevelse at være heroppe.
It's such a great experience. And we are facing a very exciting future. The space station is going to be here for many years, but we're already planning missions to the moon.
Alt går efter planen, sendes til månen.
We have a mission scheduled, hopefully, to start in 2024. That will be the first time we return to the moon since 1972. And that is very exciting what will happen in the next 5, 10, 20 years. And I really hope that I will be part of that. I very much hope that I will be on a mission going to the moon, but I hope I know a lot of other astronauts are hoping for that. So it's going to be very competitive. If I don't make it, this might be the last mission I'm on, but that's okay too. This is a very interesting, exciting mission for 6 to 8 months, so I have a lot of time still to work here and experience all the exciting things that happen here.
Jeg kan se her, Andreas, vi lige har tid til et enkelt
I
spørgsmål
can
mere.
see, Andreas, we have time for one more question. We know that you have designed your own chocolate, so we assume you love snacks. What is the most delicious thing that you've had on the space station up until now? You mentioned it yourself. Without any doubt, it is that special chocolate and energy bars that I had made by a Danish designer, Torsten Schmidt, who also made food for my first mission, and I savor them, and I save them so that I know that they will last through 6 to 8 months. Now that you mentioned food, we are also trying to make food. We started doing that, and I've tried to make some chocolate mousse. And I tasted that, and hopefully in the future we'll be able to also cook fresh food on space missions.
Andreas,
that looks very delicious. This is all that we have time for. Thank you so much for your time. It's so exciting to hear about your work. And we'd like to say goodbye and just a few last comments, if any. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you today. I hope you learn a lot through this day and the entire year. There are lots of activities in Denmark connected to this mission, a lot of interesting activities, and I hope that you will participate in that. I hope you will be inspired, as I was when I was a child. I think that the life sciences is some of the most interesting thing you can work with, and when you combine that with an adventure, traveling into space, it becomes even more exciting. And for all of you that are fascinated with space, you're facing a very interesting future. A lot of very interesting things will happen in the future, especially when we return to the moon. So I hope that you have been inspired, and inspired to that degree that you select a path as an engineer. Thank you so much, and thank you for today. Thank you very much.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank you.
Thank you, Houston.
And thank you to all the participants from the European Space Agency. Station, we're now resuming operational audio communications.